Street Stories NYC. Street Stories NYC. Street Stories NYC. Hey, it's Michael Knight, the New York Cowboy here, bringing you another exciting episode from the Street Stories NYC series. Tonight, our story is taken from the book The Morgue, and our title is Gertrude. It was very dark and very quiet on Gertrude's shift, and she liked it that way. When she wasn't busy, she would read some of her favorite books. She loved horror and ghost stories. People thought that it was odd that she would work in a morgue and read that kind of stuff. Most people would get jumpy or start imagining things in a place where dead bodies were laying all around. Not Gertrude. Gertrude was born out in the Hamptons in Long Island, New York, and her roots were American Indian on her mother's side. Her family of 8 lived in a scary old house right next door to a cemetery. Her grandmother used to tell her and her sisters and brothers lots of ghost stories. Gertrude even swears that she saw a ghost come to the front door of the house late one night. Everyone in her household believed in ghosts. Tonight, as Gertrude sat reading, she thought she heard a noise behind her. She looked and didn't see anything, and she went back to her story. Then again, she heard the noise. She put down her tablet and got out of her chair and headed towards the noise. As she approached a woman's body, the corpse sat straight up and spoke. "They're all in the basement. They're all in the basement. 14212, 135th. 14212, 135th. Then the corpse lay back down dead. Now Gertrude stood speechless and unable to move. She had seen bodies flinch or a hand or leg move on a corpse. She had even seen eyes open on a dead body, but she had never seen anything like this. She wanted to scream, but she couldn't. When she regained her composure, she went and examined the body, and the woman was as dead as a doornail. Gertrude went back to her desk and tried to remember what the woman said. Now she wondered, who could she tell? She also wondered why the woman picked her to speak to. Gertrude knew where 135th Street was in her neighborhood in Queens, New York. She drove to the address that the woman told her, and she parked outside. The house was dark, and it looked like there was no one at all home. Just then she saw a flicker of light coming from one of the basement windows. She exited her car and walked quietly around the house. She couldn't see inside the window, so she finally got the nerve to ring the bell. A tall, skinny man came to the door, and when it opened, he said, "May I help you?" "Why, yes," she said, "and I apologize for ringing the bell so late, but I thought I saw a prowler around the back of your house as I was passing by," Gertrude said shyly. Just then, from the inside of the house, a whining kind of cry could be heard. "What was that?" Gertrude asked. "Oh, that was nothing, and thank you for stopping by, but I really have to run." "I will check around the house, and if I'll have to, I'll call the police," the man said. He tried to close the door, and Gertrude pushed against it and screamed, "I know they're in here, you sicko!" "What the hell is wrong with you, lady? Get away from my house!" he shouted and slammed the door. Gertrude quickly dialed 911, and the police were on the scene in minutes. "He's got women kidnapped in the basement. I heard them crying," Gertrude explained. The NYPD barricaded the house, and SWAT showed up as well. When the man appeared in the door, police instructed him to get on the ground. When calm was restored and police entered the house, they came back out looking at Gertrude like she was a fool. "His dog is having puppies in the basement. That's the crying you heard, lady. How did you come upon this information that women had been kidnapped?" "There have been women missing lately, but this is not the man that has them." The police apologized, and the man told the officers that he would be calling his lawyer in the morning. The lawsuit was filed the next day, and when Gertrude told authorities that a corpse told her about the women, she was suspended from duty pending a psychological evaluation. Gertrude went home disgraced from the job that she loved so much. That night, as Gertrude lay in bed, a ghost appeared at the foot of her bed. 14212, 135th place, 135th place, the ghost said. Then she was gone. Gertrude realized that she had gone to the wrong address. She got dressed quickly and jumped into her car. She found the address around the corner from the other house that she had gone to. This time she went around the back of the house and she could definitely hear women faintly crying. She went back to her car and took out a tire iron and went to the basement entrance. She took the iron and pried off the rusty old lock on the back door. She had a small flashlight with her and she got down the stairs and there were 4 naked women tied and gagged in the basement floor. They started to make noise, and when they saw her, and she told them, "Stay quiet and I'll get you free." As she went to untie the first girl, she heard a noise behind her and she felt a sharp pain in the back of her neck. Before she passed out, she could see the figure of a man stabbing her over and over again. Gertrude's body was found dumped on the beach in Far Rockaway the next day. When her body finally made it to the morgue, one of the pathologists recognized her. "Hey, that's the nut job that was working in here. How'd she get herself killed?" The detectives had no clues or motive for the killing, so it was a big mystery. Late that night in the morgue, one of the workers was sitting writing out his reports for the night when he heard a noise. He thought it was nothing, so he paid it no mind. Then he heard it again, and he went to investigate. Suddenly, Gertrude's corpse sat straight up and said, 14212, 135th place. The attendant that night thought long and hard before he made his decision. He had heard the history of the case with Gertrude, and he put 2 and 2 together, so he made an anonymous phone call that there were several gunshots coming from the inside of a house at 14212, 135th place. He would never tell anyone that a corpse told him that information. The police stormed the house and found the 4 kidnapped women and took the suspect into custody. No one ever knew who the anonymous caller was, but the freed women told police that they recognized Gertrude from the newspaper as the woman that gave her life trying to free them. After a thorough investigation, Gertrude's suspension was lifted and she was buried with full honors, and her family will receive all of her benefits from being on the job. Hey, it's your boy Michael Knight here again. Thanks for listening in. Hope you'll check out our next episode from the Street Stories NYC series. You can get your book at thenewyorkcowboy.com, streetstoriesnyc.com, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Check out a book tonight. Thanks again.